Hey guys, how you guys doing? In the last video, I was fishing in the Everglades and I was talking about the Fuji K guides, those micro guides. I really like those, but those rods I was using was pretty long, so I went ahead and made a shorter rod for the next time I go down there. And I found a couple other rods I have, like this rod here. It's actually a really good custom rod. It's a St. Croix 7-foot rod. Has the Fuji hard noise on it. Really good blank. I just don't like these type guides anymore. I'm going to go ahead and take this rod and make it into this style rod. I really like the split reel seats too, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. And I also seen some videos where people were talking about the reel seats spinning and turning on them, and people were saying how you can drill through the reel seat and go ahead and pour epoxy in it and stop the reel seat from spinning. And that does work sometimes if you get lucky enough and you can actually hit a pocket to where the epoxy didn't coat the whole outside of the reel seat. You can get in there. When I do the video, hopefully I can show you how that epoxy wraps around there and creates an air pocket, and when you pour the new epoxy in there, it doesn't work. Like I said, some people have success with it, some people don't. If it's a cheap Walmart rod or something like that, and you don't mind the holes going through your reel seat and you know how ugly that looks, I don't think I would want that on my rods. But I'll show you how you can pull this off and actually put a reel seat on this from this direction, and take a cap from like a Yorker cap or a caulk tubing cap. You can cut it off and you can push a new reel seat on from this direction, and you get your foam on and everything like that and make it look good. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save this St. Croix blank and trim this out and cut all these guides off of here and turn it into something like this, hopefully. And this is the other thing. If you can see these other rods here, they have these nice fancy butt wraps on them. This used to be the thing. Everybody wanted nice, big, long, fancy butt wrap. All these guys are wrapping their rods. That is pretty much, I would like to say, a thing of the past. It's just adds too much bulk to the rod. It's not really, it has no function whatsoever. I'm actually going to cut the butt wraps off of this. I could actually polish this out, recoat it with glass, and make it look really nice. Make it look like brand new almost. But it's just, I'd rather have the right, you know, the rod. I'd rather have the rod light and just purely functional. And as far as these rods go, I'm going to try, I haven't done a bait caster yet that has the micro guides. I'm going to see if they work as well on a bait caster as they do the spinning rod. There is a downside though to these micro guides. Now, I'd like to tell you guys before you go crazy and go buy, you know, $300, $200 rod that has these micro guides. You have to use a special knot to tie your leader to your Power Pro. It's an FG knot, because if you don't, it will not make it through these guides. These guides are really small, as you can tell on my ugly fingernails. But these guides are really small, so if you like to tie a really long leader like I do, I like to use like a 6 to 8 foot piece of fluorocarbon when I'm fishing. You're going to have to use the FG knot or another knot that's very similar to that. But meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to cut this off and strip this without totally destroying your blank, getting the reel seat off, and we'll go outside into the garage and we'll try and get started on that. Okay, first off, we need to figure out how much blank we got in between this reel seat and the blank. So first thing you need to do is start removing the EVA foam. By the way, be careful. Do not gouge the blank. You do not want to gouge the blank, so you kind of want to take it slow. Don't go crazy on this. You want to be very careful when you put your rod into a vise like this, because if you tighten too much, you will crush the blank. Now what you want to do is slice through the blank, or not the blank. Don't slice through the blank, whatever you do. You want to slice through the reel seat. You want to do it on both sides. Remember, you don't want the razor blade to be hitting your blank. Now inside this reel seat, you're either going to have one of three things. There's either going to be wound up thread and epoxy, or you're going to have a foam arbor, which was bored out and epoxied on there, or you're going to have wrap tape. I know this one's got wrap tape in it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stick the foam part in there, and where I had cut, kind of find that tape and pop it off of there, just kind of spreading it. Okay. Now, as you can see, what I was saying before about how sometimes drilling a hole inside the reel seat and epoxying it won't work. As you can see, this one only had 2 pieces of tape on it. Most of the time you'll find where there's like 3. And if you see how this glue right here is kind of like hollow and on the outside, sometimes you'll drill right through that, and the whole inside of the reel seat will be pretty much coated with that, and you'll actually just be pouring epoxy into there, and it'll never touch the reel seat. And as soon as it's dry, the only thing that'll be holding it is that little pin where you poured the epoxy in, and that just doesn't last. Just go ahead and finish cleaning this tape and all this off. Maybe take a light piece of sandpaper, you know, some 400, maybe 320. Sand it down, get it nice and smooth. Hey guys, well, finished stripping that blank in. I got something to show you. Probably seen it in that other video when I was scraping the blank, but looks like someone did a repair on it. The rod's lasted me for 15 years like this, but I still don't think I'm going to go ahead and put new guides and a reel seat and waste foam on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to rebuild it or not, but I still want to finish this video and show you what you can make an old rod that you have laying around. Bring it up. Hey guys, look what I just got in the mail. I got the box for the rod components. Here we go. I'm going to do those same blue type grips I used on that other rod I had showed you. Another reel seat. Actually, this reel seat is for the bass rod. This reel seat will be for the spinning rod. And of course, all our guides are here. To do the bait caster and the spinning rod. By the way, I ordered all this stuff through Mudhole. It's a really good place to order rod components. They sell complete rod kits, so if you guys aren't very, are new at building rods or something like that, they sell CDs in here that you can, teaches you how to build a rod from start to finish, and they sell a kit, so you don't have to worry about matching the components and making sure they fit the blank right and everything like that. And they're pretty affordable. It's your one-stop shop to get your rod components. You can see that there. Here's their number and address and stuff like that if you guys want to look it up and maybe try and build a rod. Nothing better than building your own rod and catching a fish on it. Well, let me get out here to the garage, get that other blank, and we'll start putting it together. Okay guys, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to glue up the foregrip, which is pretty much backwards on how you would build a rod. But that way I'm going to build this rod backwards to show you how to get the reel seat and the foam over the back part of the butt. So if you ever did have a spinning reel seat and it was on a really nice rod and you wanted to fix it, you could. So let me go ahead and
yeah, I could shut off the you just
okay, we'll take and wipe this excess glue off. Okay, so I got a rag, wiped off the excess epoxy, cleaned this up. And now we got to get this reel seat to go on, which we're just going to do it reverse on how you do anything. I've already went ahead and splined this blank, and that's just basically finding the natural bend of the rod. Now for this part of the build, you could be using tape, but I just feel that the tape would not allow enough epoxy in contact with the blank, so my reel seats usually do not spin. Nice and tight. And we'll go ahead and wipe up the epoxy. Now this back one may be so tight that we may not be able to get the thread underneath it, but we'll give it a try. Go ahead and push this guy on up on there. Gotta check and make sure it's straight. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to get this foam on here. My son showed me a different way how he's used a plastic bottle and just cut it and stuck it kind of inside the foam there. So we're going to try this and see if this works. If not, I got the Yorker cap here, or the caulk tube tip, which I know works. So we're going to give this a try. And I reinforced the blank here with some thread to help the foam get up over this lip too. Because like I said, this was a blank that was someone had fixed it, but it's a St. Croix blank and I really like it, so I'm just going to use it until it breaks. Like I said, this blank has lasted me about 15 years, so I don't see why it wouldn't last another 15. So we're getting. Hey, not a bad idea. Now this pulls out. See, I even learned something. Now we'll go ahead and push this up there on top of that thread. Now I need to move this away because I got a mess of epoxy going on there. That's one thing that's going to happen when you're doing it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this thing back up. Stick it in there. Now this one's small. I didn't ream this one at all, so. That actually works pretty good. So for next time I won't push it so far on there. It's my first time ever doing it that way. But that works pretty good that way. So if you ever had a reel seat that was spinning and you didn't want to drill holes in it and risk drilling through and hitting the blank and it not working and still having ugly holes in your reel seat, then that's how you would do it. That's how you would replace that reel seat and put together a handle. And this is basically what you would call a minimalistic rod fishing pole. And that's pretty much, like I said, what everything's going to. They're getting rid of the butt wraps and all that other kind of stuff.
Okay, here I am wrapping the guides on this pole. I sped this section up because wrapping guides on is very boring, very time consuming. So I just wanted to show you the process of it. And you don't really need a rod wrapping stand like this. There's plenty of economical rod building stands that you can use to wrap guides on. Or you could even probably build your own. They're not really that hard to build. It's just pretty much cut a V-notch in some wood and use sticky felt tape, and it works just fine. I've used used that stand like that for years that I had made myself. Here I am putting the epoxy on. I like to stop the stand and put the epoxy on the feet so it gets good and saturated before I turn the machine on. The epoxy I'm using is called Flex Coat. It's just a 1-to-1 epoxy mix.
Hey guys, just pulled that St. Croix rod off of the drying rack. The finish on this thing came out almost flawless. This thing is really awesome looking. As you can see, I got the new Shimano Stratic at 3000. Kind of needed that so I could space the guides out to make sure I was getting the most casting distance out of this rod I could get. To put this rod together, it only cost me about 50 bucks, minus the epoxy and the thread. A kit of epoxy I think is $15, and you'll be able to do multiple rods with that. So hopefully, if you guys got a rod that's laying around, it doesn't have to be something fancy or anything like that. Just as long as it's a rod that you guys like, and wish was still operational. If the reel seat's spinning or the guides broke or something like that, you can get that back together and get it to where it's operational again. Hopefully I gave you enough information in this video on where to get the parts and get the information on how to wrap the guides on and stuff like that. I didn't go into too much detail on how to wrap the guides on and everything like that because I know there's a lot of videos out there about making rods and stuff like that. And I kind of went into more of the detail on how to fix a spinning reel seat without stripping the guides off, pushing it over the butt. So hopefully that gave you enough information to do that. Yeah, you're going to be seeing this rod in a lot more videos, hopefully. But that's the end of this one, so hope you enjoyed it.